After a long hiatus, we are back with the Canadian Highlander Tournament Prep podcast. And again, I've got Ryan with me. Ryan, how are you doing?
Pretty good. So
I've been too busy. It's getting that time of year. I'm getting too freaking busy. it's it's just like being a first time homeowner and like I'm getting ready for the colder months, and it's getting ready for everything else that's happening in life, and I'm like, oh gosh, I have way too much happening. Yeah. What about you? What have you been up to?
pretty busy myself. Playing a lot less Magic than I would have liked to. It's been a quieter month locally in terms of events.
Yeah, there really hasn't been a ton happening today. Happening recently in Iowa for Magic, for at least Canadian Highlander, not Magic. But also it's getting to that time of year, holidays, and people are probably saving up for Christmas gifts, or like I know that my anniversary with my wife is coming up, and so I've kind of been trying to get stuff done for that, just along with getting ready for Christmas in the next couple of months. But still try to play online. I still do the monthly async on the webcam Discord, but beyond that, I just haven't been able to get anywhere.
I did play in the October webcam async.
Oh, yeah? How'd you
do? I managed to make semifinals on that one.
Nice.
Lost in 2 to mono white.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. Yep. Rakdos was not getting it done.
And
was honest had a really close close 3-game set with Citadel in the play-in pool that I was really nervous about that matchup, and got past that one somehow.
Okay, I gotcha.
Pretty pleased with the result, all in all.
You did better than I did. I think I went 2-1 with Lotus Breach, and it's kind of a version I've been trying out for a little while. It's the quote-unquote Sans Red Lotus Breach. But, I mean, it did fine. I just lost against Jeskai Black, which is a nightmare matchup for the deck, so... but hey, it's okay. I'm just kind of playing for fun, though.
Yeah, I dodged the Jeskai matchup the whole way through. Actually, no, I did play Jeskai Green, but that deck plays pretty differently than Jeskai / Jeskai Black.
That's not Jeskai control. But yeah, well, I guess that. Well, do we want to talk about upcoming tournaments that are going to be happening? Because recent tournaments, I think it's been since like September. In the previous episode, I don't think anything's happened near us.
No, because we had the big spurt of local tournaments happened all in like the 1 month period.
Yeah, it was like a month and a half period where it was like 5 or 6 Canlander events near us, and now it's kind of like I'm like, where's my next tournament? I need my fix, But yeah, well, let's say you can talk about what our topic is in a little bit, but we will just discuss some upcoming tournaments, near us, kind of not near us. I think there's only one tournament happening near us because I haven't heard anything about from Steamship. In Minneapolis, nothing in Des Moines is happening right now. I don't know when the next Madison event is. I don't know when the Man of Milwaukee is doing anything.
I'm kind of not expecting too much until January.
Yeah.
I'm expecting we'll get some announcements around December, January.
Well, on that topic, though, we actually do have an event happening in Kansas near us, and it's going to be a charity event. I can pull up the details on it really quickly, but there is a Canlander charity event on January 24th, 2026 at 11 a.m. at the Geekery in Shawnee, Kansas. Unlimited proxies, $40 entry. A listener sent this to us on X in a DM, and I was like, I should get that pulled up. Let me see who who it benefits though really quickly. It will go to the Fountain Fund. I don't know what that fund is, but I can look it up really quickly also. But that's pretty near us. That's I don't know how far away Shawnee. I think Shawnee's like 6 or 7 hours actually, isn't it? No, because maybe. Um. Oh,
That's right
so
by
the
Kansas
Fountain
City, so that's maybe like
4.5 for you.
4.5.
Yeah.
4.5 if you're traveling from Des Moines.
Okay, so the mission statement of the Fountain Fund is the Fountain Fund increases economic opportunities for formerly incarcerated people to improve their lives and remain in their communities. The Fountain Fund envisions that all formerly incarcerated people and their families have hope and opportunity, and I think that's a great event. Um, so yeah, if you're in the area, go to it. Goes to good cause. Get to play Canlander, all that wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
But
I know several players from the Kansas City area have come to events in Iowa in the past, and yeah, looking forward to see if I can make it down there.
I know for a fact I won't be able to make it, but I've got my a firstborn on the way. So, and that'll be kind of the thick of it of me being on no sleep.
And
but I'll be rooting.
Yeah, it's closer to 3 hours from Des Moines, so
that's not bad at all. That'd be like a
very
5 hour
doable.
drive from that. Yeah, and I'm in Northeast Iowa, so
it's a lot closer than Milwaukee, and we went to that. So,
oh my gosh, yeah, that's definitely doable. But okay, the next event, because I don't know of any other events happening in the Midwest near us. But if there's Minneapolis or maybe there's another Madison or Wisconsin or Illinois event, I just don't know about. Yell at us. Yell at us on X. Yell one of us on Discord. Or Blue Sky, whatever you prefer. But the next event is gonna be in Canada. I'm gonna apologize if I butcher this. The Autark of Autumn, happening on November 23rd, 2025. Starts at 11:30 at Bastion Games in Chilliwack, British Columbia, Canada. Unlimited proxies, $50 entry. So that's gonna be freaking sweet. I know that Canada has kind of a handful of their events, anyways. But awesome to see everything happening. But Ryan, do you want to talk about the last two that we're just touching on? Because we're kind of just going over. I just went through the most recent events I could see.
The last two. There's one just south of the border from there in Stanford, Washington. Actually, it's at the end of this week when we're recording this.
Yeah.
On November 8th.
That's actually named Stanwood, not Stanford.
Stanwood?
Yeah.
Yeah, Scattered Deck Games, 12 o'clock, $50 entry. And, as with the rest of these, unlimited proxies.
I love that. We're getting to the point where people are just going, let's just do unlimited proxies.
Yep. The week after, on November 16th, in Ashland, Ohio, there's a 1 p.m. event at Eldritch Bastion. Unlimited proxies, $10 entry.
Awesome. When I saw the $10 entry, I was like, that looks a little bit funky. But I mean, if it's $10, it's $10. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong.
Certainly not.
No. Well, those are just kind of the upcoming tournaments we saw. That I saw at least on the Discord happening. If there's other stuff happening, yell at us. We'll shout you out. But yeah, well, Ryan, I guess it's time to talk about the topic, because if people have read the title of this episode, it's called "Getting Worse at Canadian Highlander." However, it's not. We're not actually going to talk about what you can do to make yourself worse at Canlander. But we're actually going to be talking about an article that's not about Magic, but something that was shared with me a few years ago by a friend of mine, and I just think it's a great article. And it's called "Getting Worse at StarCraft 2." I'll be linking it in the description of the video, the Spotify podcast, and just wherever else we posted that, so it's easily accessible as a PDF on Google Sheets. I mean, on Google Docs. But Ryan, when I sent this to you, what was your first thought looking at
honestly, my first thought was this is StarCraft, not Magic.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. But it's a good article. Like it's like one of my favorite articles to read about Magic. Like
Yeah,
it's basically about this guy that sits there and is playing StarCraft 2, and he's really competitive. He's just constantly playing StarCraft, and he looks at his elo and he realizes that he's actually getting worse as time is going on. And that's like the general gist of it. So he goes into like how he goes into like fixing it, because I think that as Magic players, we're also really prone to that.
I
Like,
feel like for like the first 3 years of playing Canlander, every time I picked up a deck,
mhm,
I would spend like the first month learning it, getting better at it,
yeah.
and then I'd have like a solid 2-3 months of success, followed by just this 5 to 6 month
Oh
slide
my god.
of just getting absolutely rock bottom results, like
Oh my
03
fucking god. Yeah.
FNMs.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, I totally get that, because that was me at the beginning of the year. Like where I sat there, I was playing Jeskai consistently, and I was like, I'm just playing. I was playing Jeskai, I think, like for 2 to 3 hours, 3 or 4 times a week, just like constantly playing the deck and like just trying to like get better. And I think, out of, because I have my notebook that I used to track my life total right here, and I went through it, and I think it was like 150 games. I had won like 30 of them, and I was like, this feels fucking miserable. Like, it's never a good feeling looking at it and going, I'm playing this to expressly get better at Magic and Canadian Highlander, the deck I like playing or want to play, and realizing, wow, I'm doing kind of shit. You know, like like that's kind of a feeling just that like just kind of hits you hard, or like
I keep playing, but I
like,
keep doing worse.
yeah, and like this article is kind of about that same kind of topic, about when you're playing a deck and you just realize that you're getting worse, and what worked for the author of this article. Um, and I really connected with this, because I have so many times where I am just on a stint where I'm just doing fucking awful. Um, like I don't even know, like, but it's like once it's like after reading it, you kind of realize, oh, this makes a lot of sense, and like I've incorporated it, and that's how I've gotten better at playing Magic just as a whole. Um, and yeah, like Ryan, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it really reminded me a ton of the exact things I had seen every time I got really jaded with a deck and just wanted to throw a deck just out the window
Hmm.
for failure.
Yeah,
And just blaming, trying to find something to blame for it, be it the meta game or just my own play, and just
hmm,
saying screw it and moving on to a different deck eventually.
yeah, yeah, no, exactly,
And
and like,
it's like, oh, maybe I could have kept playing those decks. Maybe I didn't have to start over from scratch again.
yeah, and it's like, it's just something where, again, I think that when you're playing a deck for a really long time, you get really set in your ways. You get really comfortable with a pattern, or maybe an approach. Like I'm gonna just read a quote, and it's just, for me, refining my style, i.e., playing a deck, too quickly to do what's comfortable and to easy. And in thinking over my more successful ladder grinds, I realized that I had forced myself not to do that. And it's really just talking about, like when you're playing a deck, like realizing that maybe what you're doing is, maybe you're just doing what's comfortable. Maybe you're just doing what's easy. Maybe you're just getting these like, it's like these pitfalls of repetitive play patterns and approaches. Just stealing that straight from the reading. And really just realizing, that
Yeah, so I guess what's the actual problem here that this is actually like a bad behavior that we can do something about? Like, how does
Yeah,
this actually impact your play?
yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of one of my bad habits. I have a lot of them. Are there anything that springs to mind that you like notice for me? Because I feel like, or oh,
I guess
I
in
think one of them
general,
I can think.
like we had that stint where we played the same decks against each other for like 3 months,
Yeah,
and you remember every time that like one of us would swap off the deck, and the like I would be stuck on Time Vault, you'd be stuck on Jeskai. If I went and go picked up, say, red black or like mono red medium or ghoul monsters or something, I would end up looking and seeing your hands after the game when we talk about the game after and be like, this is such a weird keep.
yeah. Because
Like,
like I was sitting there and going, oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
like you've kind of like when you play a deck so consistently, you get these sort of warped impressions of how your deck operates, and you end up starting to just almost ignore your opponent a little bit and getting
Yeah,
in your head a little bit, and you maybe start keeping on optimal hands. Um,
or
you
even
think of
just
like
playing a
your
really.
past failures on the deck, and you are
Mhm.
trying to avoid them specifically. So you're keeping, uh, I don't know, maybe like you had an issue where like you're missing your land drops too often, so now you've suddenly started just like keeping hands that fix your mana issues, but maybe you're just not focusing on the matchup specifically because you've had so many weird instances
Mhm.
of mana screw.
Yeah, or even it's even just like, I mean, honestly, it's just like sometimes you just get lost in the sauce. Like that's I that's such a weird thing to say, but like you sit there and you go, I am losing on Jeskai. I remember I crashed out about this. This is gonna be I crashed out a lot. Firstly, and I was playing against Paradox Academy and an Async, and I get probed them on turn one. They in their hand they had Mistrise Village, and I look at that, I go, oh, cool. I think I can win before that becomes an issue. I did not win before that became an issue. I lost very quickly. Um, because I learned that, I just can't beat that card on Jeskai sometimes. If I don't have like fourth until like just kill. But anyways, though, I remember after that I had my crash out for a little bit, and then I went online and started looking for foil cleansing wildfires. And I
Oh
was
my
like, I'm gonna
god.
put this into Jeskai. Yeah, no, I crashed out really hard. Like it was not good, but it's like it's that kind of stuff. Rather than me looking at that game and going, how did I lose? Like I really looked at it. And I was like, it's just one fucking card, and I am gonna solve that issue right away. 'Cause I convinced myself. I was like, I can get off Spellseeker. I can get off all my tutors. It's a 2 mana, like it draws a card. It can't trips. Like it's totally playable, right? No, no, don't play it. Don't play it, and don't play it in your fucking Jeskai deck. It's bad. Um, I still. It's just like one of those things where kind of go back to it, and you're like, you keep this hand, you get into these play patterns, and then once you run into an obstacle that just messes it up, you don't really look at the what did I do wrong? What was I doing that was wrong? You look at it as my opponent got lucky. Oh, my opponent had the one silver bullet, and like sometimes that is true. Like sometimes you just sit there as a Turbo Citadel deck, and your opponent has a Vexing Bubble out. They just go, okay, well this fucking sucks. Like, but like the idea is there
Yeah,
of
I
like,
mean, yeah. Back when I played Mono Red, I think I lost to 5 toughness creatures like Shieldred and Triumph of St. Catherine long enough that
mhm,
I had started to consider playing Witchstalker Frenzy,
vaguely
which,
remember this.
yep, which for those unaware is a 4 mana instant that deals 5 damage to target creature
Yep.
and gets a cost reduction for each attacking creature. Um,
Yeah,
which
it's not good.
no, it's not. it's not hopefully too controversial a statement to say that this card, even though it did see some play in standard, is not really up to the Canadian Highlander power level.
No, and like that's kind of the thing, right? That like once you start playing a deck long enough, it becomes reflexive. The more you're playing a deck, it's like you get into this play pattern and this like routine, like you know what hands to keep, you know how to play. But then as soon as something out of the norm or something that like, is directly an issue for you, I don't know, I can't think of the word. Like once something that happens that is your absolute worst thing, you don't really look at it as a learning thing. You start looking at it as a, well, that happened, like it sucks, and
Yeah.
we're just kind of like cornering ourselves.
You
it's
start
really
looking for, well, now I need to be able to answer this specifically, and not
like it. Kind of, it's like you look at it, and you stop learning from it.
Yeah.
You look at it and start going, that happens.
Could I have played differently so that this card wasn't a problem for me? Sometimes just you don't ever think about that. You don't
Yeah.
look back 4
And
or 5 turns and say, well, yeah, they played this on turn 7, but maybe I should have just been killing them a turn earlier and this would have never been a problem.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, this entire reading, it goes into this idea of, being more mindful and really understanding that, playing to just play, it doesn't translate into getting better. Learning a deck, and it says directly, what was it? It was something about, like, an inevitable, making sure that if you're practicing, because we're talking about tournaments, if you're practicing for a tournament, make sure that you have a plan, you have a roadmap to, and it's a dedicated plan for your practice games, your training, what your whatever your learning points are gonna be. Really, just actually dedicating time to thinking about it, and not just writing things off.
If you just play a whole bunch of random matches and you just analyze the matches after the fact, saying, okay, what got me and how can I change it? It's going to lead you to overvaluing those specific cards or circumstances in which you died. It's going to kind of take away from your ability to see the bigger picture on how your deck is supposed to interact with that matchup. You're going to focus on the few specifics.
Yeah, and it's like you're just not learning. You're just not actually practicing. And this is something that me and you have talked about so many times, and I can't even count the number of times you and I have had post game discussions, or even we'll just be in the middle of a game where we're practicing, and you'll be like, "Is it cool if I just show you what I want to do?" We talk through. I'm like, "That's cool," because our practice games we're not playing to win. We're playing to learn. We're playing to get practice and get better and be more mindful of decisions we can make in a tournament. So that that cognitive load when we are there isn't as heavy.
So, if we are saying, okay, we don't want to just play random games, how do we actually decide what games we're going to play? And how do we approach playing those games in specific? Say I'm going to be playing Time Vault into a tournament, and relatively unknown meta, but I know for a fact that in Time Vault my Boros aggro matchup is really bad.
Yeah.
To prepare for that, finding someone who's willing to play Boros aggro against me and talk through a little bit, I think from the opening, what kind of hands actually work.
Yeah.
And
yeah, because
maybe taking a little bit more leeway with mulligans to try to get a little bit of experience on which hands do need to be mulligan and which ones are actually keepable, because there are quite a few false traps in mulliganing. I know especially like when I've decided to mulligan a hand, I think it's usually correct if you're trying to gain insight to show that opener to your opponent
Yeah.
and see what they think. Get their perspective on it.
hmm Yeah,
In
and
yeah,
no, and I was just kind of saying this is like kind of one of those things where again, like having like people you can like dedicate time to playing with and like learning from, like that's really important. And like it's really just like talking about, it's like that pre-game discussion, mid-game discussion, post-game discussion, right? Like you're saying,
mhm.
like I'm playing Time Vault against Boros DNT, and like your first question is gonna be, okay, so this is the hand I want to keep. Like I'm gonna mulligan it and just be like, what are your thoughts on it? Kind of getting that, just kind of having that discussion with your opponent because they know what they need to be keeping, and like you can talk about it like, if keep this in the blind, keep it in the game 2, game 3, stuff like that. On the draw, on the play, junk like that. Like really just getting as much information as possible because the more you learn about that matchup, the better you're going to do in it.
Yeah, I think the important thing is not just getting your opinion on it. You know how your
Yeah.
deck plays a lot of the times. The important thing is
Mhm.
knowing how your opponent is likely to be viewing the matchup. Um, so
Mhm.
I guess this is sort of another thing you can do. Is you can actually play the decks that you're worried about. I think
Yeah.
knowing how Boros or aggro decks work as a combo player and actually getting a lot of reps on
Mhm.
aggressive decks, I think has a lot more value than your like 100th to 110th game on your combo deck that month.
Yeah, and like this is like this is all just because like you're using your higher order thinking skills because when you have to look at a deck and think about how do I play this deck now and really have to learn it, you're gonna come back to whatever deck you want to play and be like, this is how I need to approach the matchup because, um, like for me at least, like I'm gonna use myself as an anecdote. I play a lot of Jeskai Control, and I have played a lot of Lotus Breach. Um, I play those are two decks that are on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum for Canlander. I feel like one is hard control, one is all in fast combo. Um, And just having both of those, I understand what I need to be looking for because I know that as a Jeskai player, I need to be looking for like cheap, efficient interaction with a cheap threat. I know that against a lot of the a lot of decks like Lotus Breach, like March of Otherworldly Light is pretty fucking good. Because it gets you miss it with Veil, it's like, of course, silences suck, but that's gonna be the thing I'm most scared of as a Breach player. But then as a Jeskai player, I know that when I'm playing Lotus Breach, I know my Jeskai opponent is gonna be finding those hands, and I know that it's gonna be even more important to find a hand that might not be all in on one game plan, but might be like a fast one ring, or like finding a Teferi Time Raveler, stuff like that. Um, and
Yeah,
just having that the knowledge of both matchups, right?
and you might not be able to have time to get a match in against one of these decks. Um,
Yeah.
and if that doesn't happen, like even talking to someone who is familiar with the deck, um, just to gain insight onto how they walk through the matchup from their side of the table,
Yeah.
I think helps a lot in being prepared for when you do face that deck. Like I do have a lot of matchup experience in the Jeskai, but
Yeah.
I know that you are usually trying when I'm playing Time Vault and you're playing Jeskai. I know that you're trying to usually find at least one piece of interaction, and like things like being able to find Wrath of the Skies is something you value. Being
Yeah.
able to find like a March is something you value, and
Yeah.
it really. And you're saying that like one of the biggest things you're always worried about, and why you mull so heavily for it, is like a resolved Urza Saga.
Yeah, like if I'm playing as Time Vault as Jeskai, the two cards I'm the most scared of are going to be Shifting Woodlands and Urza Saga, because I don't have a good. I have Wasteland, and Wasteland does not deal with Urza Saga. Wasteland does not deal with Shifting Woodlands, and Urza Saga on turn 2 is really terrifying because I think it's like exactly Martian Wasteland that hit that deck. Also like to hit that card. Also like Teferi, but
Yeah,
that's not going to be
Teferi's not a
fast
permanent
because you're.
solution.
Yeah, Teferi's not a permanent solution. Like Urza Saga is a threat and a tutor, and Shifting Woodland just invalidates anything that's not like exile removal or exile counter spells, like No Moralize or Force Negation.
You need instant speed exile of Graveyard, or well, you can get away with a Ghost Vacuum, which is instant,
Well, yeah,
or like a
yeah,
March, but Pending's not going to cut it anymore.
yeah. Well, like Pending does okay, but that's usually when you're playing out a Time Ball or a Key. Like you don't have, or you don't play one right after the other. Like it's fine. And like even then, like Ghost Vacuum doesn't stop constructs. Like that, it doesn't stop Urza Saga. So like it's really just all of that. But that's
being able to talk let me get to those conclusions significantly faster. And I didn't like just keep playing the matchups, losing to, I don't know, a counter spell plus a Aragorn, and then say maybe I need more spot removal in my deck to get me some more time against your Oculus and like Murktides.
Yeah, exactly. It's like again the idea of that, practice and learning and all these things are intentional. It's not an inevitability. Like you're never gonna be able to sit like you playing 100 games with no intent to get better or no intent to learn will have way I don't think it's gonna be exact or specifics, but it's gonna yield less results than somebody who plays 20 games on the same deck with the express intent of learning. Like it's gotta be quality over quantity here.
And I do want to stress the importance, I think, is my big takeaway from here. The importance of variety and exposure to other decks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Simply playing through the same deck is going to hit diminishing returns, and you're even sometimes going to get stuck in a situation where you're losing your fundamental Magic skills and they're being replaced by your impressions from your matchups with that specific deck. And no matter how many matches you play, there's always going to be a scenario in which you're going to need Magic fundamentals, and you can't memorize every single detail of, okay, I'm playing this deck, my opponent's on this deck, they have played this, therefore in this situation, from my experience on this deck, I should do whatever. You need to keep your Magic fundamentals strong, and to do that, you really need to just branch out and try other things.
Yeah, and like
try an aggro deck if you're playing.
Of course.
If you're playing combo, if you're playing control, try a tempo deck.
Oh my god!
Or try a mid-range deck.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think I did that this summer. Was it the summer or early spring where I was like, I'm gonna have one deck of each archetype. I have Jeskai, I have Lotus Breach. What is gonna be like my aggro, my disruptive aggro deck? And I played Boros Death and Taxes for was it like a month?
Yeah, it was about a month.
Yeah, like I'm gonna face right now. Cool deck. I can't stand it. I don't like playing it. Not my style. But I learned a lot from it. Like, just being on the other side of that matchup, I was like, oh, so that's kind of what I got to deal with now. I just slam a threat above the curve, and I then I have to have the ability to have like a follow up, and it's usually like 1-2 in the coffin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, much more nuanced than that, but for the sake of not spending half an hour talking about bro stuff and tactics, because I am not an expert, that's what I'm saying. But it kind of just all circles back around to getting exposure to other play styles and other decks, and learning. And then once you've done all of that, you still want to come back to whatever deck it is you're playing, whether it's an established archetype like Jeskai Control, or going to a more experiment, or maybe more of a personal brew, and being like, I learned this, and that this might be an important thing to know. Or like, this is an important play style I learned that I need to learn to change. Something like that. It's invaluable, and I would recommend people do it, because I think that you'll learn that you're going to learn a lot more quickly, and you're going to get better a lot quickly if you do that, and it's intentional, and all these things we've already talked about. Because I think that for you, Ryan, one thing that always jumps to my mind is you were a red deck wins /medium red player for the longest time, and you've always been a good pilot at that deck, but you started getting to these pitfalls and these play patterns against and it didn't matter what deck it was. It's always, kind of like a really similar thing. Didn't really matter what the matchup was.
Yeah, I had played basically every single version of red aggro under the sun. Except maybe Mardu. I don't think I had touched Mardu. But I had tried red-white. I'd been mono-red main. I played Gruul for a minute. I played Naya. I'm currently playing red-black. I think the only red base 2-color combo I never played was red-blue.
But that's more of a tempo style, I feel like, than aggro.
Yeah. I think they're a bit off topic, but I think you can maybe build it a bit as blitz. There is a promising Gruul blitz that I think sometimes plays Team of Colors.
Yeah, and I get that, but like what I'm trying to get at that, is that you went from that to playing Time Vault.
Yeah,
which that's a really fucking different deck. I think that's about as far from red deck wins as you can get. Aside from the killing your opponent part.
I mean, the similarity is that neither deck wants the game to go long.
Yeah, but beyond that, heck, even Time Vault doesn't really care if the game goes long, though, I feel like.
They don't care, but we'd prefer it doesn't.
Yeah, no, I get that. But, so now the question is, if you were to go back to red deck wins, or medium red, or medium, whatever you would decide to play, what knowledge would you take with you from playing Time Vault and learning that deck? I think you could build the deck a lot better.
Honestly, I get a lot. One of my biggest things that I was always afraid of when I was playing these aggro decks was this hand isn't fast enough, or like I'm not going to be able to beat this deck in time. And
yeah,
like the biggest takeaway I think is that like I didn't need nearly as much disruption that I thought I needed. Like sometimes Time Vault does have these really explosive fast starts. But sometimes, like, if you just play on curve aggressively, like, it's just too much pressure for Time Vault to handle. If you have a good 7, but you're thinking of shipping it, like, if I was going back, I'm like, okay, I'm playing Gruul. This is a good 7, but it has no interaction. And it's like maybe like a turn 4 kill on the play.
Yeah.
Fishing it. That's a hand I'm looking at keeping as a result of playing Time Vault when I might have shipped it back before.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that's the kind of learning process that is really important. And I don't think Canlander players do that enough. I think that is the one issue with most Canlander players, is they don't branch out enough, and they don't dedicate themselves to actually learning. They just play decks. Myself included.
I mean, I think that this can even extend a little bit to card decisions too. Like, I know that there's a lot of talk about hyping up cards that interact with Time Vault, for example.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of hype because of cards that, they answer this particularly popular threat in the format. And, like, knowing how the deck that card is supposed to be teching for actually plays,
Mm-hmm.
like Artifact Hate is the biggest one, I think. Time Vault does sometimes lose to Artifact Hate, but the current formulations of it don't lose nearly as often as you expect, and they're built to be pretty resilient. And
Yeah.
it's led to me, even though like Citadel as a deck is something I'm relatively afraid of when I'm playing Rakdos, I'm not playing a Braid in that deck. Just
Yeah.
because
I
I
mean,
know that, like, yeah, this one shot 2 mana interaction just, I know that those decks aren't afraid of it. They'll be able to deal with it. And they're not, like, Time Vault can accept one of their artifacts being blown up. Citadel can usually accept a
if
blown up
you
mana rock. And if they're letting the game get to that point, like, having talked to Citadel players, like, the Abrade isn't really the problem.
yeah. Also, like, if the team care is resolved and they have a fucking Citadel out, a Braid ain't gonna work. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna get lucky or they're gonna be bricking.
Yeah, so it's prevented me from, like, where I would have maybe I thought about including a Braid for a second, but having talked to Citadel pilots and played Time Vault, I decided against it.
Yeah, and you know, we're kind of talking about decks. Now, let's say we do come back and we're still having issues with our bad matchup. I think that I personally speaking, whenever I'm getting ready for a tournament, one of the first things I do is I look for somebody I know that can play the deck that I struggle against the worst, play it really well. I go, I want to jam games against you, and I want to have these discussions as much as possible because, like, you know, like learning that the Braid doesn't really matter for you. Like, you said Rule Monsters, right? Or was it
Basically most red decks, most aggressive red decks.
Yeah.
The experience translates pretty well between Boros, Rakdos, and Rule.
Yeah, like I wanna learn. I don't care about winning when I practice. Like, will it feel good if I'm winning every game when I'm practicing? Fuck yeah, it will. Will it make me a better Magic player? Will it make me more prepared for that tournament? No. Like, I care more about learning the matchup and learning what to do and making me more prepared than I do about winning a practice game. And like, I remember a long time ago, I was helping my friend Cody, who was playing Brawl Monsters. This was back like 2023, early 24. No,
Yeah, I think
2023 late.
I think that was back when I was playing Duel Monsters too. That would have been 2 summers ago.
Yeah, like 2023, and I was like, Cody, do you want to practice the Brawl Monsters Jeskai matchup? And he was like, not really, because I'm going to lose every time. I was like, you don't. I was like, that doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter. Like, it's gonna suck losing every time, but you're gonna sit there and you're gonna learn. Like, we're gonna have these discussions. We're gonna learn. He did, and he played in the tournament with the deck for the first time. He got second place, just because we were like sitting there and learning, and you know the winning part wasn't important. You know, and I think that's also something we get really, really, really strung up on. You know, and that's reasonable. Like we were just talking about. Like, I had a 20% win rate earlier this year, and I was like, that feels really fucking bad. I felt it in my bones and my stomach, and you question yourself, but really rewiring your brain and being like, losing's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you converted that to a top 8 finish here in the summer.
I won Mayhem. I think I won Mayhem, top 8'd Madison, top 8'd Manifold.
Yeah.
And I lost one game in the Swiss of Mayhem, and I won all of Swiss at Madison and the Mana Vault I won out. I lost in top 8, but still. Um, but and I think I was more lucky than anything else with that. But again, like we
I
really,
mean,
I
we
think
know
that, and I think that
never to discount a loss to variance. There's almost always something you can take away from the matchup that isn't variance.
no, I know for a fact that I lost a misplay in the Mana Vault at the Milwaukee event. The Madison event, I think my top 8 game was against Lance. That's just a bad match, but I still made misplays there. But at least what I'm trying to get at is that I think that once we, like, if you're trying to practice, once you can get over losing, you're gonna do a lot better. Because if you're expecting to win every single practice game, you're not, and then you get really discouraged when you lose. Like, that's not really beneficial, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hell, whenever you and me play, whenever I'm like, I'm gonna try a new fucking deck, like, I lose the first, like, 5 sets, like, horribly.
Oh, routinely. It's always an adjustment getting back onto a deck. Even when you've played the deck before, like...
Yeah,
like your first, 2 matches on Jeskai it's always shaking the rust off.
Yeah, and it's just about learning more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the point that is trying to get across. I think that's once you get over the fact that you will lose, like you're going to lose games, but realizing that those losses you can still learn from, and really just looking at it rather than a fuck I lost, right, and looking at it as what happened, right? Really being analytical, and that's kind of like one of the most important things for that in general. I think that again, we kind of as a more casual format, that's gonna be a feels bad, and not many people are gonna do that, but it's important if you're trying to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Ryan, is there anything on that topic on that like line of thought you can think of? Because I was rambling there for a hot minute.
No, I think that pretty much sums up my thoughts on the topic.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like, these, you can play a different deck, come back to it, do better, and just always come back to it. And you're gonna know more about what to do. Let me see. I just just reading this article. I've read this article like 30 or 35 times. I fucking love it. And I always find new stuff to learn from it. Like, I know we've kind of been trying to focus more on it as a Canlander thing, but really just, reading it over and over, I always learn something new. And one of,
I guess, if there's one takeaway that more than anything else, you only get one thing from this article, what is it?
For, like, me personally?
Yeah, like, you read this through, you only get to choose one of these things that is going to stick with you.
Oh, dude, out of this entire article, it's going to be the one weird trick to master anything part of it. Like, that part I love. That is the one thing I love, because it's just about, to get better, you gotta be uncomfortable.
You gotta get outside your comfort zone. In Magic, that in this context, play a different deck. Talk to people, try to understand the matchup, or just other decks in the format. Being comfortable with your deck and only playing that deck is going to be the shortcut to sort of getting stuck on a plateau.
Thing. Yeah, no, exactly. Now, Ryan, I'm going to flip around to you.
Yeah.
If there's one thing you took away from this article, what would it be?
Oh gosh, you gotta play the Uno reverse card on me.
Yes, I do, because we're talking with each other, we're conversing. Okay, I know that as Magic players, we struggle with that, but I'm gonna make you talk about it too. Like,
honestly, because I read this for the first time like a couple weeks ago. It's really just that practice isn't all equal.
Yep.
Like being able to, or it's more of like why just simply playing games isn't
Yeah.
isn't gonna lead to testing success. In
Yep.
that, like, you're not really understanding the matchup. It's
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest takeaway. Is that
Yeah.
to really test a matchup thoroughly, you should try to actually. I should be trying to understand the matchup from my opponent's deck's perspective.
Yeah, and like your practice should be intentional.
Yes.
Like, like if nothing else, if you don't, it don't matter if you don't play well, it don't matter if you make mistakes, and oh my god, I felt like a little hick there for a second. But what matters is the intention and making sure that with every single thing you do in that matchup, whether it's learning or playing, it's intentional. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a great point. Also, like I could talk about this article for so long, and I could go over it so many times because up until it was shared with me like 3 years ago, I never heard about it once, never saw it.
They're very, very off-topic discussion here.
So
I was trying to find an old Frank Carson article
about what?
I'm completely blanking on the subject right now. I
It's
can't
just a
remember
freak.
anything else about it. But like
Mhm.
the point here is that I had remembered him writing an article like 5 or 6 years ago, and it cannot be found anywhere on the internet anymore. And I wish I had saved it.
So it's just a Frank Armstrong article. You don't know what it is about. You
It
don't
was a
remember.
Frank Carson article written on Star City Games. I can find it's in the Wayback Machine listed, but when you try to access the actual like the URL takes you to the stars. There's a URL article that I've been able to find that
Oh,
takes you to the article in theory, but it
is it
leads
like
you to a dead page with no content being showed. And
yeah?
even when I tried the Wayback Machine, it I couldn't get the text of the article out. It was about like I believe it was in the results of like Frank Carson talking about statistics of something relating to Magic decks.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I tried finding that also, and it is gone. Because I remember I was talking with a friend of mine, and he was like, "Yeah, it's just gone."
Yeah.
Um,
So I guess this is more of a shout out to
it,
all of you. If anyone has that saved somewhere, I would love to read it.
I know what the article is. It's the how many games do you need for statistical significance in playtesting, right?
Yes, that one.
That one, it is. I don't know where the fuck it's at. I think I was looking for that also a while ago, and that's why I know this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, like I've gone down this rabbit hole way too many times, man. Like I don't get to play as much Magic as I want to right now. But I am consistently. I'm just like trying to like absorb as much information as possible as I can. Still, it's just like why am I not being productive with anything else in my life? But that's just how the cookie crumbles, And
Yeah,
but
I mean, deep at
kind
heart, I'm a math nerd, and Frank Carson is one of my favorite
and
writers for Magic.
I have math dyslexia. So when we eventually get to that math podcast, I'm gonna be really honest with you. You're gonna be leading that. You're gonna be leading that a lot.
Oh
And
man, it's
I
I have
will
a
do my best to
PowerPoint
listen.
presentation for you.
I will need a lot. I will need you to do the ELI5. Okay.
We can try. We can try. I'll try to keep the numbers to a minimum.
I appreciate that because I'm bad at math. Which fun fact, I used to work at a bank. So that was fun. But yeah, like like there's like, and I think that like again, just kind of to circle back to make sure I don't want to like be rambling for too long. I think that there's a lot of information we can get from not only this article but other ones, and I think that even though we are a Highlander format where we play with 100 card singleton, ultimately what this entire format boils down to is Magic fundamentals. Like just having those down to just solidify all of those, and that will take you so far.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom to be gained from the analysis that's been done by, quite frankly, smarter people than either of us who have done it for 60-card formats.
I mean, that's not saying a lot for me saying that smarter people than me have written these things. That's like a low bar. But yeah, no, exactly.
Self-flagellation shall continue until
exactly
this podcast
until morale improves. I thought you were gonna say until this podcast improves. It's like that's gonna be a long time. But yeah, okay, well, Ryan, do you want to say anything else about this article? Anything else about these topics? Like, because I think that to wrap it up, it's really just, and jump in if I'm being wrong. Learning, being intentional about your practice, not just playing to play or practice for practice. Sometimes the best way to learn a matchup and to get better at your own deck, not just in that matchup, but as a general thing, is to play a different deck. Well, I mean, to say it better, the best way to get better at your own deck is to play a different deck sometimes. And sometimes playing your deck only is the way to get worse at your deck.
I would word it stronger. I don't think the word sometimes is needed there.
Okay. So
I think we can word this as an absolute. I think that if you're only playing your one deck in the format and you really say, I want to get better, the first thing to do if all you've done is ever play one deck is set it down, try to play another deck.
Yep, I can agree with that. I wasn't sure how strong to be on it, but yeah, I'd agree with that.
I mean, I think the cost, like even 10 games, it's such a low cost, and I think it can yield so many dividends.
Yeah, just like I said earlier, just be uncomfortable. Learn to be uncomfortable. Just once you are okay with being uncomfortable, you're gonna do better.
Yep.
Okay, well, I mean,
dumb wrap-up question.
Yeah, so we're now wrapping it up with a question. And last time we talked about misplays. Unfortunately, because I haven't played as much Magic, I don't have any misplays. Don't know about Ryan. And I'm not saying I am perfect. I'm saying I have not played Magic for a hot second. At least I think like last week because I've just been busy. And nothing practice related. But Ryan, what is your favorite deck that you don't currently play?
Honestly, I have not played a super low to the ground red aggro deck lately, and I'm not talking like the slam out some 3-drop style that is the current vogue red aggro bases in Boros and like the soul mana decks with Naya. I'm talking like 1-drops and 2-drops at the fundamentals.
You're talking about.
I want to play goblins.
You want to play goblins?
I just want to play goblins. I think the deck would be fun. It's there's a local player who plays goblins, and every time they play every time they play Magic, they just seem like the happiest person there. And I kind of want to tap into that. I kind of want to give goblins a go.
Is that missing from your life or something?
I mean, goblins are.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, like the entire local Iowa meta is comprised of goblins, so like, do you really need it?
We are all shiny card goblins.
That's fair. I'm the worst of all, but yeah, no, I think that's fair. Like, I know some people. I know the people that play goblins are really dedicated, and they look like they're having a hell of a time.
It's pure goblin energy.
That's too. That's too. That makes too much sense. Like that's way too perfect of a way to explain it.
Yeah. So what about you?
Oh God.
Doesn't have to be a bad deck. I think goblins is quite good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just like once you get to like those synergistic decks, like they're just pretty good. I don't know. Because that's my issue. Like, if I don't like a deck, I don't play it. But I think like some of the decks I've always really enjoyed are like the rock style strategies. Like I really enjoy just playing green black mid range. I have the deck like thrown together, but it's like kind of like it's some of it's been pieced out for other decks right now. But it's just like that deck I always come back around to playing, and it's just like that's what I played when I first started playing Magic. Is just like those green black piles, and like really just like the recursive threats, the efficient threats, the the catch-alls, the efficient trading and stuff like that. Like all that
The
stuff, I love it.
Juns, the Sultai decks of the world, Grixis.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Grixis. Grixis doesn't have green.
No, Abzan or whatever.
Yeah.
I used to play the shit out of those decks. Like obviously I don't play that anymore. I've just never been an aggro player. I like Jeskai. That's just I just like Jeskai kind of goes back down to the core stuff of like the 1-for-1 trades, being efficient, all that stuff. But like there is just something about playing green black for me that it's just a part of my brain. But I know it's not that good of a deck right now. Like I don't. By the way, when I say green black, I don't mean like Jund. I mean straight up green black. Like
we're not even doing like a 2-card splash here.
No, I mean straight up green black. I personally do not care for the splash. I don't care for Jund, Sultai, or Zan. I think it's an entirely different thing than what I'm talking about. Like, oh my god, like I wanted to build green black rock and free modern. That deck is so cool. Like and it's just kind of the same thing. Like I really like those. Like I love playing with Survival of the Fittest. I love. I think one of my favorite cards right now is From the Catacombs. Like, yeah, it's 5 fucking mana, but dude, this it just styles on people so hard. But yeah, like one of my favorite decks, green black. It has a special place in my heart, is what I'm trying to say.
You got to go let that White of the Reliquary in. Those Golgari Drake Grave Trolls.
Oh my! You don't even realize it. I used to be an only dredge gamer. Because back when I was in college, I played Legacy Vanillus Dredge because one, I couldn't afford dual lands. Secondly, I thought the deck was cool as fuck. I was playing Manaless Dredge back when Gitaxian Probe was still legal in Legacy. Like Gitaxian Probe and Deathray Shaman were legal.
Oh gosh.
So this is about 2016, 17, around that time. And which everybody that will now tell people how old I am. And I also played Modern Dredge. I was putting together Modern Dredge when Golgari Grave Troll got unbanned. And I remember I had bought the Blood Gas off Card Kingdom on the way down to seeing some family in Missouri. And then those shops $20 a piece. But obviously I don't play those decks anymore. I still love Dredge in general, but like can't really play it for tournament style. You can't. Let me put it this way: you can't really play Dredge in Canlander as well as you can Legacy or Modern. as you could at least. Oh, but that does remind me, I saw a really sick Dredge Breach deck in Milwaukee when we went, and I was like, this scratches an itch. But yeah,
Dredge
no, that's me.
Breach. I
The
think
deck
I
was
might have
sweet.
played against them too. This is sounding familiar. I think they might have been one of my opponents. I don't remember which round.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But no, like the great. Okay, no, I should rephrase my answer. Green black like graveyard set, like graveyard synergy mid range decks. You know.
We're playing the Overlord of the Baelmerk. We're playing.
Oh yeah. Straight into my veins.
I mean, standard green inclusions of like Barrowgoyf, Nethergoyf,
Oh.
Tarmogoyf.
Oh yeah.
We're playing Malevolent Rumble here.
Oh yeah, you know it. Malevolent Rumble. Like I got the deck box right in front of me, and I'm just looking to see what's in there because I'm playing shit like Thrun the Last Troll. We are playing. Let me see here. We're playing actual Tarmogoyf, which, by the way, I think the card's still totally playable. I am
It
playing.
is. It's a bit off topic, but it's shifted from a definite staple to it's a staple in the graveyard decks that really use their graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll admit it. I'm a boomer. I like Tarmogoyf still. But yeah, that's the kind of magic that has a special place in my heart. So, yeah, I rambled for way too long on that topic, and I don't know, Ryan, do you want to talk about Mono Red a little bit more? I know it's been a hot minute since you played it, or do you want to?
Oh gosh, I don't know where I'd even start with that deck nowadays. I think it's been at least a year and a half. But I know Goblins is still kicking and putting up results, and I didn't get a chance to try it while I was on my Mono Red grind. So
yeah, so I get that.
I don't really tend to revisit decks after I've left them too much. I do decks in roughly I do decks in stints, and then I'm pretty worn out on them for a while.
That's fair. My rotation of decks is completely dependent on is completely dependent on my seasonal depression. If I'm playing Doomsday, I'm in a bad spot. Just heads up. But
yeah, no, I gotta pick up one of those Eldrazi lists at some point.
Those are really sick.
No idea how good they are, but I've never actually played against one, so
that's okay. We'll get there eventually. But I was gonna say, Ryan, that we've rambled on long enough. I can talk about this longer, but if you guys are listening, what's your favorite deck that you're not currently playing? It doesn't have to be a deck that like it can be in a rotation or a battle box. Like what deck is your favorite deck that you don't play right now? Just leave it in a comment, or just ping us on like X or Blue Sky or whatever. But Ryan, is there any last things you want to say before we start signing off?
No, I think we're good to go.
Well, everybody, you can always find us on YouTube. You can find us on X. You can find us on Blue Sky, Canlander Tournament Prep podcast. But other than that, have a good rest of your night. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.